Terry was also a public school teacher for over 30 years. He has been able to avoid raising taxes and to help raise his county's bond rating to AA+. His focus as a candidate is on jobs, the economy, and reducing excessive spending. Please welcome Terry Baker.
Let me get my notes out here. Many times when we're invited out to speak, we have a block of time, and then, you know, in the midst of things, we're talking about what we stand for and what we're hopeful that we can provide to the citizens that we're wanting to represent, and we run out of time. So when we get to about, I think we get to speak about 20 minutes, so if we get about 15 minutes in, give me a wave, so that way that'll give me an opportunity to ask for questions. Again, on behalf of your organization, I want to thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. I do thoroughly enjoy going out meeting new people, and how do I stop that? Okay. I do enjoy going out meeting new people, and to be honest with you, I love campaigning. Everywhere I go, I meet new people, I hear new ideas, I hear different stories, and it's very interesting to hear stories from the people up in Western Maryland versus the people down here in Potomac, Maryland, Montgomery County. We all have concerns and issues, and everybody wants to see pretty much the same thing. They want to see a more efficient government. They want to see elected officials that are elected officials that get out and visit the communities and talk to everyone, and they want to be heard. Many times I'll just stand there and just listen, and they're always giving me new ideas and new thoughts, and that's one of the things that I think I'm decent at, is just listening and then trying to take the ideas of the citizens that are providing thoughts to me and incorporate them into my movement as a candidate or an elected official in the area. How's that? Okay. Again, my name's Terry Baker. I'm a husband, parent. I'm a grandparent. I have 3 grandchildren. I love them dearly. They're all, I have a granddaughter, 3.5, a grandson, 3.5. I had twin daughters. They had their first babies 1 month apart. They're outstanding mothers. And one of the reasons I think they're outstanding mothers, as my wife and I wanted to raise the kids, I always wanted her to be able to stay home and raise the kids. My mom raised me. There were 7 children in our family. She did an outstanding job. I come from very humble beginnings, and I think the reason that all of my family members have gone out in life and have done well, when been able to purchase their own home, provide for their families, is because of the way my parents provided for us. So it wasn't broken then, and I don't want to break it today. So my wife was a stay-at-home mom. And now that we have grandchildren, we're fortunate enough to make do with what we earn, and now she's a full-time nanny. So, but I still get the bills. So, my first 11 years of life, I grew up, like I said, from humble beginnings. We were a very, very poor family. We moved into a project. One of the new projects in Western Maryland. So I lived there for the first 11 years of my life. From there, we moved into an old farmhouse out in a community outside of Williamsport, between Williamsport and Clear Spring, called Pinesburg. And most of the kids at that time in my family didn't graduate from high school, and not only in our family, but my aunts and uncles, my cousins, and so forth. And in middle school, we had what we called field day. And I was a pretty lucky guy. Never knew it then, but I had tremendous endurance. And in that field day activity in middle school, I signed up for the mile run, and I won the mile run. So from there, the coaches at our middle, at that time we had a middle and high school combination, they knew I had some special ability, and they worked with me, and they got me in the right direction. So I credit much of where I'm at today because of my parents, coaches, and teachers. So I went on to become a decent athlete, went to my local community college, and then I left there and went to Auburn University on a full athletic scholarship. and returned back to my community and became an industrial arts school teacher. Had I not been for the gift and my coaches and teachers identifying an ability within myself, no telling where I would be at in life today. So much of where I'm at today, all of the credit goes to coaches, teachers, and my parents. So with that, dear, I just appreciate you listening to my remarks, and now I'll talk about a couple of things that that I feel as a congressman I can contribute to the community here in the 6th District. I'm a candidate that believes in limited government. I think our government is way too big. I think we need to take and shift much of the power that our federal leaders think that they need to have over us, and we need to get that back to our local communities, the state and the counties and municipalities and families. So we can do a lot by just getting a lot of the responsibility that the federal government thinks that they need to have over us and get that and shift that back to the local communities. And when you look at the federal government, you know, the economic activity, the growth in our world today, we're hovering right around 2% growth. And as a hardworking blue-collar Republican, I can't sustain the quality of life and the that I have, that I want to provide for my family at a 2% growth rate. And we need to get over the 2% growth rate. We need to be somewhere up around 4%. You know, with increased cost, 2%, you know, my cost to take care of my family and business in my life, I can't operate what I want to do and continue to do at a 2% growth rate. And I know Hillary Clinton, she's touted where she's satisfied with 2%. That's what it is, let's live with it. But I think if we get federal government out of the way of lives and let the individual people prosper, let businesses prosper, I think we're going to see a greater than 2% improvement in our growth. And also what that does, if you keep the 2% growth, that drives more and more people into poverty. The people in poverty are really struggling, they can't get out. The people that can't grow, they're driven down into the poverty level of life. And I certainly don't want to keep our people there. We need some of the responsibilities in you know, the federal government, and what we should stick to is creating and focusing some laws that are common sense laws. Many times I know there's a county commissioner, we come in and we work on ordinances and laws for our community, but we never eliminate anything. We just keep piling on more and more rules and more regulations, and as a result, the next thing you know, you have rules and regulations every step you take. So, and I don't know if I've been successful in Washington County, but sometimes before I'll support something, I'll say, if you want me to support a new rule or regulation for Washington County, let's eliminate 3. So, and that goes back to money. A lot of times I'm sitting there and they'll come in, they'll say, well, if you only raise taxes 1 penny, you know, they'll give you the overall impact of each family, and they try to present it to you that way. Well, it's only a penny, and then I'll come back and say, well, if it's only a penny, let's decrease taxes a penny. It's only a penny. So I do try to keep some things like that. We also need to focus on our national economy and infrastructure. Obviously, I just alluded to a little bit of that. Our national security, I think we all know our national security is at stake right now. I do believe in securing our borders. I do believe in properly vetting the illegals that are here in our country. I don't think anyone sitting here opposes immigration coming to our country. We all have friends, we all have loved ones that we are of all different religions and so forth, and we know they're hardworking people and they want to be here, they want to be true Americans. But we do need to secure the border and vet the illegals that are here, and let's keep the ones that belong here and deserve to be here, let's keep them on board and get rid of the others. So, keeping taxes low and reasonable. Again, I think we can all agree that if we have less taxes to pay, we have more money to spend, and we're going to go out into our communities and spend that money. Restaurants, shopping, and so forth. And then that creates jobs, generates more revenue, and so forth. Government, I went to a workshop on government waste. Every arm of government, every entity of government has a minimum, and this is from a researcher, of 5% waste in government money. I was an educator, I saw more than 5% waste. I'm a county commissioner, I see more than 5% waste. And the larger the government, the higher the percentage of waste. Federal government has more waste than state government has more waste than county government has more waste than municipal government.
You haven't met Montgomery County government.
So, as a county commissioner, if you go and you research some of the votes that I've made as a county commissioner, we have a county commissioner Republican board, and I'm the one that votes no on deals that come across our table for support when I know darn well they're not the right thing to do, it's not the right vote to make, and I know who the recipient of that vote is going to be. And it takes a little while to get accustomed and really learn how you're steered by your bureaucrats that you put in place to give you correct guidance and so forth. And we've had several of those issues in Washington County where we're steered a little bit, and when you start researching the project, researching who's involved, it doesn't take long to know why the project's being pushed to the forefront and so forth. So, and whenever it's confusing and I don't quite understand, I vote no. And not all the time, but almost all the time, if it's a vote for and I'm not anti-development, but if it's something for a community that community doesn't want, I'll go out and I'll talk to the citizens in that community. And if it's overwhelming, they don't want this project or something that whatever's being proposed for their community, I vote with the people that I represent. I've never forgot where I've come from and who helped me get elected. Too many times people get elected to get in office, they forget who helped them, where they came from, and I'll never ever forget where I come from. Also, I'm a big proponent of our fire and rescue. That's one of all levels of government's responsibility, safety to its citizens. In Washington County, we've been able to maintain an all-volunteer fire company. And back when 2007, when the economy started to tank, at that time we gave our paid emergency services permission to hire, and I think I'm going to say 8 or 10 new employees to provide better safety. And when we saw the economy tanking, myself and another commissioner got together and we tried to figure out how could we keep those people on, how could we hire those people but not have them as direct county employees. So what we did, we went out to the volunteer companies, we gave them the allocation, they went out, they interviewed the people, and they hired people for their volunteer companies. So that way they're responsible for the employee, not the county government. And they have to provide all of the insurance and services that go along with hiring an employee. And we also made it important and clear to the volunteer companies that you had to keep their salaries in a certain range that was comparable to what our county emergency services people were earning. So through all of that, I know I'm running out of time here. We'll go into national debt. I think we all know our national debt's out of control, $19 to $20 trillion, and that comes out to last week. I knew the exact number. This week I don't. Per person in the United States. But when you start talking about what we're responsible for on the national debt, what it comes back to is an individual cost. They always say per capita. They always forget half the people can't afford to contribute toward the debt. So that means my responsibility is twice the amount. So, and then when you couple that with Maryland or your state debt, your county debt, your municipal debt, it's a tremendous amount of debt that when they talk about the debt of the country, they don't talk about that. Also, last year, our local Board of Education, that they cannot raise revenue. They have no way of raising or generating revenue. You know, they receive state and county funding. They wanted to have borrowing authority. Myself and another commissioner, we were instrumental in getting letters down to their delegation to let them know one of the worst things you could ever do in the state of Maryland is give your local Board of Education's borrowing authority. And they have no way of raising revenue. And I really think had the other commissioner and myself not got involved, it might have passed. And that would have been another over $1 billion of debt for the taxpayers just in the state of Maryland. And then, as you know, you move around your communities, you see a lot of the people that are in positions, let's just say superintendents and so forth. My opinion is they try to build legacies and resumes on the back of the taxpayer. They'll come into your community. Many of the communities are across the state of Maryland. The superintendents aren't from those communities, so they hire from outside. They bring somebody in. They have all these grandiose plans and ideas. They get to move forward, and then after they get their resume built, they sell that to another community. They move on. The residents and the citizens of that community are stuck with those decisions. So, and it's not that they're all not like that. It's just that I've seen it happen. Washington County, as a county commissioner, and it doesn't always work, because in 2007 to today, Washington County government is operating $2 million less in revenue than we had back in 2007. And through all of the economic downturn, we've been able to fund all of our agencies that we fund. We've kept them at a flat level. We've flat funded our current county government. We have reorganized county government. We have I don't want to say cut, but downsized our employee base. We have, as a county, we have taken the direct hit so that we could continue to fund our outside agencies at their level. Through all of that, we've been upgraded to a AA+ bond rating. And as a county commissioner sitting there, and it doesn't always work out for me, but I always sit there and I consciously think, I want to reduce our debt. The happiest people I know are the people that have less debt. The less debt you have, the happier you are. And I always try to borrow what we retire that year or a little less. Sometimes it doesn't work that way because of everything that we're trying to move forward in Washington County. But since I've been a county commissioner, we have been really, really close on the borrowing, or I vote no, to what we either retire or pay back. So, and I think the federal government needs to take the same approach. I heard someone say if we took 1 penny of every dollar that the federal government collects, and I haven't researched this is what I heard, that we could possibly reduce or get our 20 trillion down to next to nothing over 6 or 8 years, but it would take a penny out of a dollar. Now that would be a good thing, in my opinion. Don't know, I just heard someone make that comment, so I'm just kind of... again, education, let's talk a little bit about education. I'm a 34-year educator. I started out as an industrial arts school teacher. At that time, I could have gone to any county in the United States and got a job in industrial arts. Every county in the United States had a need for industrial arts school teachers. Some of you remember your industrial arts days, related arts days, building projects. To this day, I constantly have kids come up, parents come up, and all they want to do is talk about what their kids did in my class. And that's very, very, you know, it's a great feeling when a parent. I've had, go into Walmart, I've had kids that I had 15 years ago, and here they come running with their parents because they want to talk about a little bit of an impact that I made on their life. And that all goes back to the people that coached and educated me, and it goes back to how my mom taught me as a kid growing up. You know, she taught me how to iron, how to do laundry, how to do dishes. Well, I did it all. And I had great teachers, and I try to use their methods when I'm trying to provide methods today to kids and so forth. But again, education needs to get back to the local level. I was part of the Common Core there. I just retired last July of 34 years, same school system, Washington County Public Schools. And we need to get out of the way of the teachers and let teachers teach. Too many of the people that are calling the shots, and they have not a clue as to what that kid needs when they walk through the door. When those kids come through the door, 20, 30 kids, that teacher knows within the first 5 to 7 minutes, at least I did, what you were going to have to do for that kid that day to keep them engaged and keep them involved. You read their personality just like that. You could tell if they had a bad night. You could tell where, you know, and you know a little bit about their home life to begin with. But I taught in West End of Hagerstown, and that was a project school. And those kids, I had teachers, they said, how do you get anything out of those kids? Well, if I couldn't get everything I wanted out of them, I tried to get a little something out of them. And, you know, so I'd have kids come up and they would beg me. All they'd want to do is just clean the shop that day. So then what I would do is I'd say, well, and I knew I wasn't going to get anything out of them. So I'd try to get 10 or 15 minutes of our theory, our book work out of them. If they would do that, then I'd let them go back in the shop and I'd have all the power off. And they'd just clean. And that told me that they wanted to be alone that day. they were having some problems and wanted to sort through them. So I always tried to get a little something out of everybody. So anyhow, she's saying my time's up.
3 minutes.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask her a question.
Yeah,
So,
questions.
so anyhow, thank you again, and questions? Yes, ma'am.
Karen, a two-part question for you. If you earn the nomination, how would you plan to run against Delaney, who has an incumbent network and hugely deep pockets? And if you don't win the nomination, would you actively support whoever does get the nomination?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously going to support who wins. That's the easy one. The other one is, I'm as a county commissioner in Washington County, the last 2 elections, I've received more votes than anyone ever running for county commissioner in the history of the county. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because I have the ability to reach across the party lines. I have, there's way more conservative Democrats out there than we give credit. And as an educator, that's a Democrat base, and I do extremely well with the educators. That's going to be a big voting block of mine, and like I said, I have the ability to reach across the party lines, and that's what it's going to take. There's 70,000 more Democrats in our district than Republicans. Yes, ma'am.
What is the percentage in Washington County for the non-English speaking students entering? Because in Montgomery County we have a huge non-English speaking population.
Honestly, I could never give you the percentage, but we do have we have programs in place for non-English speaking students. We take every student regardless if they're illegal or legal. And I've had some of those kids in my classes over the years, and I know Washington County, they do everything possible, and they follow the laws of providing services to those kids. But as far as the percentage, I couldn't tell you that. Next question. So, again, I want to thank you all so very much for having me here this evening. Hopefully I said something that you liked or we could agree on, and I could earn your support. And if I am the one that gets to represent the 6th district, I promise you I'll come back to your group. Even if I don't, I'll come back to your group if you ever need me to come back and talk. And I'll never forget where I come from. Thank you very much.